Welcome to Smart Cities Week 2015. My name is Carol Stimmel, and today in the studio is Mark Brule, who's the Chief Application Architect with Allied Telesis. You know, I have known about your company for a long time. I've known about you in terms of IP networks and triple play installations, but you're at Smart Cities Week and you're introducing or discussing a new product you have called Invigilant. I'm really curious about how, first of all, what is Invigilant and how is it filling a void in Smart Cities network that kind of comes from your history? What's it all about?
Sure. So if you know Allied Telesis, you know us as a network provider, right?
Yeah.
Media converters, switches, routers, high availability chassis, all that cool stuff. What we've realized is the IoT, the Internet of Things, that has really been around for a while now, is providing a lot of data, and certainly as the transport layer 1 to layer 3 type provider. We can get the data to where it needs to go, but we were seeing that there's precious little in the way of applications for managing and processing and consuming those data. So Invigilant is a platform that moves up to layer 7, so we're in the application layer, to do data exchange, to break down the silos of data that these devices generate. So a lot of individual sensors will give you one piece of data that you need. Invigilant is all about integrating those data and giving you a single pane of glass to visualize it and operate on it and really draw the value out that's buried in deep.
That's a really hard problem. There's a couple of things that jump to mind when I hear you describing that. First of all, standards. Like, how are you managing that, and are you taking on any kind of leadership role in standards, or what is your thinking about that as you are the architect behind solving this problem?
Right. So there's two layers of standards that you need to talk about. There's syntactic and semantic standards. So the syntactic ones are like XML. Mm-hmm. Some people will say, oh, we have XML exchanges, so we're standards-based. Yeah, that's true. JSON's another one, GeoRSS. These are all syntactic level standards that allow you to say, this is the way my data is formatted. It doesn't tell you anything about what's in the data and how you understand the content, and that's where the semantic standards come along. So we've been involved for a long time in the National Information Exchange Model, or the NIM, which was developed for public safety originally. It was a Global Justice XML Data Model, or GJXDM was the progenitor to it. And the idea was, let's start coming up with a way of describing the content of the data. So the NIM is a whole framework that provides a reference model that says, here is the way to talk about the different types of semantics that you want to represent. So it started off with justice, incidents, arrests, moved into emergency management, went into screening, is now into border protection, health insurance. CMS is starting to play in the model. And the whole desire behind the framework was to develop something that the entire federal government could use in multiple domains.
Right.
So we've really embraced that. We've got a data exchange middleware layer embedded in the Invigilant platform to allow us to get data through this type of standard. And these are the types of standards that we want to see more and more of. Oasis is a great organization. They're doing some things. We want to see all that start to really mature.
This is the kind of partner any city would want, because those are the tough infrastructure problems. And I think city stakeholders are coming to terms more and more how if there's a breakdown in the data, and well, of course, the application layer, but the data layer it's a reputational problem. It can cause a lot of short-term problems in confidence and trust. And do you find yourself playing in new areas
well,
now?
that's the fidelity of the data is so important, and especially with the ability to mine social networks now. We've got a customer that's actually mining Twitter feeds to provide security at football games. And they're doing some really interesting things with, they've actually got a couple crimes that they've solved, that they've said flat out, we wouldn't have solved this if it wasn't for our social media feed. So there's data that's coming in. How do you assess what you can trust, what you can't, where it's coming from, who's sending it, is it meant to spoof you or not?
Right.
That broadens from the social media to just about any data you get. So if it's coming from a sensor, you can say, okay, that's trusted as long as the sensor's reporting that it's okay. But you need to have some health of the sensor as well to assess, can I trust this information? But then the real power is getting it together in one place.
Okay, so that's a really interesting point about analytics, and just in general, when we're talking about Invigilant, so you're not just sucking in the data like drinking from a fire hose. You're actually applying an incredibly important level of intelligence to make sure the data is high quality, but then also providing a coherent way to look at that data where it's easy to find what you need in the noise and then immerse and get deeper, right?
Yeah, single pane of glass for visualization, and then analytics on top of that. So some of our customers are using video analytics comes out of the retail space. The retail stores want to know how many people are coming into my store, how long are they standing in front of this end cap, what gender, what age are they?
Right.
And they're getting these off the video analytics. We're bringing that into transportation because, you know, each train, they want to know the same thing. Who's getting on, how long are they staying, and where are they getting off?
Okay, so you're doing kind of descriptive analytics, but then being able to rationalize that, you're starting to move into predictive and prescriptive analytics as well.
Correct.
And with this single pane of glass metaphor that you're talking about, who is looking in that pane of glass? Who are your customers that would be using that?
A couple different user communities. One is the security personnel that are private organizations. So when we're talking to a company or to a transit agency, these are the owners of the facilities are looking at it. We're also sharing those same data with public safety. So you have law enforcement. A good example is what we're doing with the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority. They're collecting these data on their trains. They've got video on their platforms. They've got sensors on their platforms. They've got train location data. We're sharing that over fiber patch to the Santa Clara PD, so a different law enforcement organization that's running security inside Levi Stadium. So we're bringing data together, but also sharing it amongst different jurisdictions.
For a long time, you have known how to do the networking safely, reliably, security. I know you have a great reputation in going beyond expectations in terms of providing speed and that sort of thing, but your company basically recognized that there was an unfulfilled need to get at that data and provide that again in a coherent, easy, single pane of glass description. And you've just moved right up the stack. What is the vision? Are you going to build out Invigilant, or do you see going other directions with this?
This is the future as far as we're concerned, is the ability to take what we've learned at the transport layers. And you know, we're doing things at the cybersecurity level as well. So our software-defined networking is something that we've brought from the data center now to an enterprise level. So we can look at suspicious activity and shut down a single port to isolate suspicious activity before you really truly know everything that's going on, keep it safe. That same type of ability needs to move up into the application layer, because that's where the real data is. So Invigilant is not just a side project, it's our focus going forward for bringing what we've learned about security at the cyber level up into the application layer and to physical security as well.
Okay, well that's great, and that's pretty exciting. The new entrants, you know, don't always, sometimes try to move into this smart cities paradigm and context and not realizing how difficult and complex things are at the bottom. So standards, really important, and you know, getting that visibility and being able to do these kind of minute and really refined operations you're talking about.
Yep.
I want to thank Mark Brule with Allied Telesis for coming in and describing what you're doing with your new application. And thanks again.
Thank you for the time.